We from time to time need to learn how to organize our lives. There's so much content on YouTube, on how to organize yourself, but not much of this content is based on scripture. So in today's video, I'll be sharing with you guys 5 organization tips from the Bible. I want to show you guys that God and Christianity is pro-organization, and just show you how to organize yourself from the scripture. So if you're interested in this kind of stuff, then do keep on watching. Hey guys, my name is TOLU and for those just meeting me, but you can call me TOLU for short. I'm a Nigerian Christian YouTuber and presently a doctor in training. Here I create content around God lifestyle and girl talk. So if you're looking for a place to learn how to grow your faith in all areas of your life and some girl talk, then consider subscribing and joining the family. Do your planning and prepare your fields before building your house. So guys, obviously the first tip is to plan. You've got to make plans. You can't just up and live life anywhere it goes, like anywhere it leads me, I'm just going to go. You've got to be in charge and be in control and plan things. That's the way to stay organized. Now I see that many of us have, we pride ourselves in being disorganized. We tell ourselves, it's just my nature. It's just the way I am, okay? I'm not just really organized, I'm just a disorganized person. It's the way I am. It's my nature. However, when we come to Christ, we no longer wear our nature. We now wear the nature of Christ. We wear the nature of God. And God, my friends, is a very organized personality. God is organized. Now we look at the works of creation, where we're introduced to God and we see him. You see that he created everything systematically. He was very organized in his approach, very systematic in his approach. God did not create man before creating light. God did not create man before creating food. And even when he instructed Moses that people, that the Israelites should build a tabernacle for him, my gosh, God was very detailed. He made a plan as to how it should be built down to the last detail. You can actually check it out in Exodus 25. Like the plan for the ark, the plan for the lampstand, the plan, like everything had a plan. You would see it if you're using like the New Living Translation, the headings, plan for this, and God was giving Moses, God was giving the Israelites instructions on how the tabernacle was to be built according to his specifications. He had a plan. When Noah was to build the ark, God gave him a plan. God told him this is how things are to be done. So God is very organized and God plans. He sits and he makes a plan, and you wear the nature of God now. So as much as it's in your own nature as the Adamic nature to be very disorganized, not to plan, to just see life as it comes, you need to understand that you now wear the nature of God, and because you wear the nature of God, you've got to be organized as well, and you've got to plan your life. Now the problem here may be, how do I plan my life? It may feel really ambiguous and all of that. Well, planning your life starts with planning your day, because the unit of life is time. Really. So if you can plan your day every day, you will live an organized life. Planning your day doesn't have to be rocket science. It doesn't have to be rigid. Truth is that it is most effective to write your plans down, to have a system. But sometimes you can actually visualize and make a mental picture of everything you're going to be doing in a particular day. Now that's not really effective, but it works, okay? But the best way is to actually write things down. So how can you plan your day? One thing I used to do planning my day, how I used to plan before I switched, and I'm going to tell you guys why I switched, was at the beginning of every month, I would write down. So I had a book, first of all. There are people who use apps, but I prefer to use a book because it just made me have more control. I felt like I was more in control. So I would write at the beginning of every month, everything I had to do for that month. I would make a plan for that month. I would have a space for schedules, for meetings, for programs with their dates and time so that I don't forget these things. And then I had a space for goals, for tasks, things that I had to accomplish, things that I had to, do within the month. And then at the beginning of every week, I would look at my monthly plan and see which of the things I had put on my monthly plan that had to be done that week. Okay, so I would include it in that week, and I would include the schedules and all of that kind of stuff. And at the beginning of every day, I would look at my weekly plan and see what on the weekly plan had to be done that day. So that way I wasn't missing anything. However, I realized that I was doing more of planning than actually doing. So I spent more time planning stuff than actually doing stuff. As a master planner, guys, I'm a great planner. I'm a great planner, but it wasn't working. And I've come to see that just because you are moving doesn't mean you're making progress, because you could be going around in circles. Okay, so many of us just have a lot of activity. I used to have my list used to be really long of many, as in it consisted of many things that I had to do in a day, and I would be really overwhelmed and stressed out because I had to do all of these things. But the truth is that many of the things on my list I've come to see were not really things that were productive. So what I started doing recently is that instead of writing down all of these things in a day, I would get my book, and what I would write at the top, would be, what does productivity look like for me today? So I would decide, what does productivity look like for me today? Because many times there are many things you can do, but these things don't make you productive. And I want to invest my time. You want to invest your time doing things that are productive. So many times it could just be 3 things on my list. I would decide for myself, what can I do today that I would know that, yeah, I was really productive today. Many times it's just 2 things, 3 things. Okay, it could be like, okay, I need to shoot a video, I need to edit a video, I need to read a book, or I need to play my guitar, I need to work out, and that's it. So that may just be it for the day. And then every time I achieve one thing, I cross it off on my list. So I write it in blue and I cross off with red, and it just really feels good, So remember always that the idea is not for you to feel organized. The idea is for you to be organized. So if you're working or if you're planning in a way and it's not working, it doesn't mean that you should stop planning. It just means that you should change your system, okay? So just because your plan has not worked doesn't mean that planning is bad. It just means you are not approaching it rightly. You need to find the right system that actually works for you. So no matter what happens, don't stop planning. Keep trying. I tried many times, and I would fail until I finally, developed this system that really works for me and is really effective. The Lord had said to Abraham, leave your native country, your relatives, and your father's family, and go to the land that I will show you. So I was having a conversation with a friend some few weeks back. Shout out to CK. He just recently started creating content too on the blog, and we're just having this conversation as content creators. And he made a statement that somebody had said to him within that week, and that is my second tip. Tip 2 is clarity comes with movement. Many times we feel like there's just this idea and there's just this thing that God has placed in our heart to do. There's just that thing that God says we should do, and we don't know how to start. It feels clogged in our head. The idea feels, cumbersome. Everything is mixed up. It's like Christmas lights, like when you just buy it newly and you're trying to detangle and all of that kind of stuff. It's just, everywhere and everywhere. Now, here's the thing. The trick is to start moving. Clarity comes as you move, as you go. Now, Abraham did not know where he was going to go. God just told him, bro, get up and get going. Like, stand up and move. As you move, I will show you where to go. So if he had just stayed back and not taken the first move, if he wanted to figure everything out, he wouldn't have, gotten the promises and the blessings that he got from God. So clarity comes with movement. You don't have to figure everything out. Just get up and start moving. So what's that thing that you feel like God has placed on your heart and now you're feeling stuck in life because you don't know how to do it, you don't know where to go? For example, if God has said you should write a book, and you're like, God has said I should write a book, but on what? Well, you can just start making moves. And sometimes the moves may not be huge stuff. Like the moves may not be to jump down Mount Everest or to part the Red Sea. It may not be huge stuff. It may be something as simple as going to buy a notebook you're going to do your writing in, like if you want to do hard copy. It could be something as simple as taking an online course on writing. It could be something as simple as that, something as simple as contacting a graphics designer on your cover page. It could be simple steps. But whatever you do, make sure you start moving. Don't ever stay stuck in life. Don't ever, if God has placed something on your heart to do, don't be stuck. Start moving. Clarity will come as you move. As you go, you will receive light, you will receive understanding, you will know what you're supposed to do next. So take the baby steps. Has God told you to write a book? Go buy a book. Has God told you to write a song? Well, look for a producer. Start asking around about producers. Even if you don't have the idea of the song yet, look around. What producers are in town? What producers can I do my song with? Like, don't just sit and wait till you have things figured out. Many times it doesn't work that way. Clarity comes with movement. For everything there is a season, a time for every activity under heaven. Tip 3 is this: there is a best thing to do per time. Now, one of my girlfriends mentioned this during one of our Bible studies within the week, and it just really resonated in me, like it stuck. There's a best thing to do per time. You may feel like there's so much you need to do, and all of these things are valid things, right? All of these things are urgent. They are all important things. But there is a best thing to do. There is a time for everything under the heavens, under the sun. There is a time for everything. So you may have so many things to do that are equally important, that are necessary, that have to be done. But at every point in time, always ask yourself, what is the best thing to be done right now? What is the best use of this time? You see, I feel like we are just stewards of time. Like, I feel like we have been given time to steward. God gives time freely. We didn't beg for it. And we have to be good stewards of the time that God has given us. Okay? So being a good steward is using your time well and using your time effectively. And one thing that can help you to use your time right is to understand that there is a best thing to do. So if you're feeling like there's so much that has to be done, identify what the best use of your time is at that time. So yes, this should be done, that should be done, these things are valid, these things are legal, but there is a best thing to be done. Another scripture that really backs up this tip is that all things are lawful, but not all things are expedient. So at every point in time, you need to figure out what is really expedient for me right now. What is the best use of my time right now? Yes, there's so many things to be done, but what is the best thing to be done right now? But don't begin until you count the cost. For who would begin construction of a building without first calculating the cost to see if there is enough money to finish it? Otherwise, you might complete only the foundation before running out of money, and then everyone will laugh at you. They would say, there's the person who started that building and couldn't afford to finish it. The fourth tip is to budget. Money is so important that if you can't manage your money, you can't manage your life. Because you need money to run things here in life. You need money to fulfill purpose. You need money to live a comfortable life. You need money. So your ability to budgeting is one skill, one organization tip, or one organization skill that every human being should have. So budget. Learn to budget everything that comes in. Learn to budget before spending. And when you're budgeting, put everything there. So take out the money you're going to be spending. Calculate, how much will I use for transport this month, depending on how money comes in for you. How much will I spend on feeding? How much will I spend on recharge card? How much will I spend on, on food? Doing all of these things helps you to cut out the slacks, cut out the excesses. If you decide that you're going to spend just 1,000 naira for transportation, it will help you to be careful with where you're going. Avoid going to places you shouldn't be going, because you know that you have limited amount of money to spend that month for transportation. The thing is that having control of money gives you some control over your life. Like you just have a way of getting things together. So learn to budget things. And then many times people say the money is too small, especially for us as students. We feel like, okay, the money is just too small, I can't budget it. But here's one thing you should never forget: any money or any amount of money that can be spent can be budgeted. So budgeting is not reducing or the amount of money you have. It's just telling you or helping you to know how to spend the money you have. So no matter how little the amount of money you have is, learn to sit down and decide how the money should be spent. Don't just bring money out and spend as it goes. Like, you keep going and we keep going, the Lord is our provider, let's sharp be spending. It doesn't work that way. Sit and decide. Be a good steward of that money. Sit and decide, how exactly am I going to spend this money? If you get money as a gift, decide how am I spending? How much am I putting in my savings? How much am I putting in my investment account? How much am I doing? How much am I using for transportation this month? How much am I using for feeding? How much am I using? Because if you can spend that money, then you can budget it. You can plan the money. Commit your actions to the Lord and your plans will succeed. Commit it to Jesus. Don't depend on your ability to plan or your wisdom to do life. Don't idolize your plans. Don't let the plans take God's place, because I was in that place where I was so into my plans, I was so rigid with it that God had to show me that I was idolizing my plans. I was trusting in my wisdom and my ability to be a master planner and get things planned and organize myself, and I was priding in all of that kind of stuff. I took pride in all of that kind of stuff, and God had to show me that this is idolatry and it's a sin. So don't let your organization come in the way, of your relationship or your relationship with God. Let your plan be in such a way that if God says, you know what, this thing that you plan to do, take it out. I don't want you to do this thing today. I want you to do, you are able to, because for me, I when I made plans, I didn't want anything to disrupt it. Like, I didn't want anybody or anything, not even God, to tell me what I could or could not do with my plan in a day. So I had to make a decision, to just allow God and take charge and to commit my plan to God, and to understand that except the Lord builds a house, they labor in vain that build it. All right, guys, I hope you've been blessed by watching today's video. If you've been blessed, like this video and then leave a comment which of these tips is going to be really useful to you. And if you like content like this, if you like learning about growing your faith, and in all aspects of your life, your health, finance, whatever it is as a Christian, then click on that subscribe button and join the family. Until I come your way next time, this is bye bye. See you.